Yesterday clearly indicated that his future is uncertain. As a front office guy, how do you see it?
Well, it's interesting, guys. We could be in a new era of player empowerment in the NFL on which we've never seen. We could be looking at more and more an NBA model because this offseason, if Deshaun Watson is ultimately traded from Houston and if Aaron Rodgers leaves Green Bay, it's really a new era. And look, it started last year a little bit with Jalen Ramsey, Calais Campbell to a much lower extent, and even another player like Dak Prescott may say, hey, you know what, I don't want to sign another one-year deal in Dallas. So I think it's a fascinating offseason, and to me, the obvious connection for Aaron Rodgers would be the 49ers. It's no secret when you talk to people around the league how disappointed they are in Jimmy Garoppolo, can't stay healthy. Aaron Rodgers is from Northern California. He's a perfect fit for the Kyle Shanahan system, and to me, that would be the logical landing point.
Mike, what did you make of Matt LaFleur's decision to kick the field goal late in that game opposed to going for it on fourth down?
Yeah, Key, I would have certainly gone for it. You have Aaron Rodgers. You need a touchdown anyway. I guess in his mind, he was thinking that we have 3 timeouts. There's more than 2 minutes to go in the game, and we could come back down and hopefully win it. But obviously that was the last play of the season for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. So when you have arguably one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks of all time, you want to put the ball in his hands as many times as possible, and you need to score anyway. And if for whatever reason you don't get a key, they're backed up, and hopefully you get a 3 and out and get the ball right back. So to me, if you're going to go down with your best player with the ball in his hands.
Absolutely, but also if you're going to go down with communicating with your best player and letting him know that you are going to kick a field goal so he could elect to potentially pick another play on third down or even take that opportunity to run with that gaping cavity right there. So when you look at that and a double down question to you, when Matt LaFleur doesn't communicate or the offensive staff doesn't communicate by letting him know they're going to kick a field goal, what do you say to that as an ex-general manager?
Yeah, Key, that's one of those things where you want to talk to him. Obviously, you're going to wait a couple of days, but somebody on his staff should be talking to him about, hey, are we in 4-down territory? Because that will affect your third down call. You can even run the ball on third down, even like a plan run, Key, or like you said on the scramble, because if you have 4 downs, you're just trying to, make it more manageable. If the whole sequence would be different in a 3-down or a 4-down sequence. So somebody should be in his ear. That could be the special teams coach. When you have the head coach who's the play caller, that's a lot to put on one person's plate. So there should be some check and balance, or somebody on his staff should be saying, hey, coach, we should be in 4 down here. We're down 8. There's only 2 minutes to go. And sometimes you can lose track of that because if you're the play caller, Key, as you know, you're worrying about down, distance, personnel groupings, what you're expecting from them, the play clock. So there should be somebody else on the staff helping out.
Mike, in a season with no preseason, with a pandemic, with it being the first year under Bruce Arians, with Tom Brady getting to the Super Bowl this season, where does that rank in your mind amongst his greatest accomplishments?
Yeah, Jay, well, it's right up there. And to me, what's even greater than everything you just said is this was an organization that had not been to the playoffs in 13 years. And what did he do? He created an aura of association, meaning guys like Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette, they all wanted to go to Tampa Bay because of him. So that changed overnight. And that's why when we get more into this Deshaun Watson conversation, I think he'll change the fortunes of any franchise overnight because people want to play with great quarterbacks. And what Tom Brady did was really remarkable. That whole franchise, the transformation of it literally happened the day he signed. And now here they are having a chance to win the title within the first year. It's incredible.
I heard Boomer last night say that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of the past and the present. And now you have Patrick Mahomes, who potentially is the greatest quarterback of the present and the future, which was an epic line. What does this say about his legacy for the Chiefs as they were able to kind of cruise past the Bills last night?
Jay, Will, if they win the title with this offensive line, you could put him in the argument of being the greatest of all time. Greatness to me in any sport is how you make people around you better. And they're going to go into that game against the Buccaneers with 5 linemen that are either 7th-round picks, undrafted. They're going to be missing both of their starting tackles. And we're going to be talking for the next 2 week, guys, about this great pass rush of Tampa Bay. They had 5 sacks last night on Aaron Rodgers. You have this beat-up Kansas City Chief offensive line. But Mahomes is so good. He's so fast with the ball. He's so quick-minded. He's so twitchy as an athlete. Like, he has it all. And when you can overcome that offensive line the way he did yesterday, and again, if they win the title, I just think it puts them into another stratosphere. And that's, to me, going to be the game within the game, is how quickly he can react to this really good Buccaneer pass rush.
Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN NFL front office insider, former NFL executive, joining us here on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. Mike, you, Dan Orlovsky, and Jeff Darlington picked these two teams to be in the Super Bowl at the end of the year. How does it feel to be right?
Key, I really appreciate that. I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to get that plug in there, but I appreciate that. So, was that the broken clock is right twice a day? But now my understanding is I think Darlington has the Bucks and Orlovsky and I have the Chiefs. So, I'm still alive here somehow, some way. But, for me, in all seriousness, I thought the Buccaneers would get off to a slow start, as Jay Will referenced, no off-season program, getting to know each other. But I just thought there was too much talent there. I didn't know they could go up to Green Bay and win. That was truly Herculean what happened yesterday. And obviously, Matt LaFleur's decision was a factor in that as well. But, it's Tom Brady, and it's a really good defense. And, we're talking about the head coaching hiring cycle. I think nobody helped himself more yesterday than what Todd Bowles did. And Todd Bowles, to me, richly deserves to be a head coach in this league very, very soon.
I'm sure he'll get passed over just like some of the other ones. That's a whole nother conversation. Mike, let me ask you this, though. Being a former executive in the National Football League, many trades, many acquisitions, all sorts of things. What we're getting ready to see possibly this offseason is a number of star-studded quarterbacks that'll be on the free agent trade block. How does that change things? Matthew Stafford is now going to be available. Potentially Deshaun Watson is going to be available. Aaron Rodgers is going to be available. Potentially Matt Ryan is going to be available. Jameis Winston's going to be available. I mean, on and on and on. What does that do to the landscape of richness of quarterbacks in the National Football League?
Yeah, Key, it's going to be incredible. And I think I had upwards of 18 teams that need a quarterback. And when I say that, that includes teams like New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, where within a year or two, it's clear they'll need another quarterback. And if I was a team, because of the pandemic, I'll give you a great example. Trey Lance. Trey Lance is a young, talented player, played one game for North Dakota State. If you told me that we're putting a team together and we could either have Jameis Winston or Trey Lance, I'm taking Jameis Winston. He's had 70 starts, just spent a year with Sean Payton and Drew Brees. That's a name that we haven't talked a lot about, but given the pandemic, no combine, I'd much rather go with certainty, and that's why I think players like Jameis Winston, Matt Stafford, I think there's going to be a premium on their value because you know what you're getting, and I think Matt Stafford goes for a low one, maybe a high second-round pick. I look at teams like Indianapolis, New England. We're really going to see, this relationship between Matt Patricia and Stafford, because now that Patricia's back with New England, is that a potential recruiting edge that they could have? So it's going to be a fascinating offseason. But again, to me, it starts at the very, very top. Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, what do they do?
Unbelievable that all of those names could be available in some form or fashion. And Mike, I couldn't agree more. In a world of uncertainty, whether we're talking football or the regular world, the fact that you can go after a known commodity makes the most common sense. We will see what happens as Brady looks for Super Bowl championship number 7 on February 7. And Mike was there right at the beginning. Really appreciate it, Mike. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Thank
Mike
you.
T.
Just
so, Zubin,
yes,
they got it right with both teams. I got it right with Kansas City. Do I get a half a point?
No.
Why not?
No, you don't get a half a point. Everybody in the world called KC, Key.
Yeah, that's true. I guess.
A reminder.
Hey, Key, you know what I want to say real quick, Zubin? I just find it really fascinating, Key. So all the quarterbacks, you may talk about Deshaun Watson, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, Jameis Winston. You know whose name you didn't mention?
Well, I didn't want to go through everybody. Damn,
but I know, but Cam Newton. That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you can. It's a ton of you got. I mean, think about it, man. You got Cam. It's just going to be. It's interesting, right? Because Carr can be available to somebody. Jimmy Garoppolo falls in there. It's going to be interesting, and this also will affect the draft. You best to believe, Zubin, it will affect the draft.
Indeed, the draft, April 29, 30, 31. in Cleveland with so many great storylines percolating, especially if some of those quarterbacks are available. And you would imagine if some of them are, a draft haul would be coming the other way to the teams giving them up. A reminder to tune into Greeny's show, which immediately follows ours on ESPN Radio. Today, Greeny talks about a Super Bowl matchup that he predicted a couple of months ago, not like Mike and Dan who predicted it 5 months ago.
Hey, man, give me my half a point.
Jay, you're the gambling guy. Give him a 0.5.
Right.
And he'll talk to the Hall of Famer, the legendary Dan Fouts from Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, right into Greeny, weekday mornings on ESPN Radio, 10 a.m. Eastern on many of these ESPN radio stations. We said we were going to go right to the phone calls, and we're going to do it. The question this morning, obviously, is what is Brady's greatest accomplishment? If you've been with us since 6 a.m. Eastern, if you're just joining us again, is this TB12's greatest accomplishment? But we also understand if you're a Packer fan,